The rain pounded against the windows of Chen Industries' executive conference room, matching my dark mood perfectly. Across the massive glass table, my mother-in-law Victoria Chen sat like a queen on her throne, flanked by my sister-in-law Rebecca and my brother-in-law Michael. The same three people who'd spent the last 5 years trying to erase every trace of my existence from the company my late husband James and I had built together. "Sign the papers, Sarah," Victoria said, her voice dripping with fake concern. "It's time to move on. James has been gone for 5 years. You need to accept that you're not part of this family anymore." I stared at the buyout agreement before me, a mere $2 million for my 25% stake in a company worth billions. The same company where I'd worked 80-hour weeks alongside James, developing our revolutionary medical devices that had changed countless lives. $2 million is more than generous, Rebecca added, adjusting her Cartier bracelet with a smirk, "considering you came into this family with nothing." The words stung, but they weren't new. I'd heard variations of them ever since I met James in graduate school, where we were both studying biomedical engineering. To his family, I was never good enough, just a scholarship student from a middle-class background who'd trapped their golden boy. They never knew about the nights James and I spent in our tiny apartment developing prototypes for our first medical device. How we'd sold my car to fund our initial patent application. How we'd pitched to dozens of investors before finally getting our break. "The board meeting is in 30 minutes, Michael said, checking his Rolex. "Sign now, and we can announce the consolidation of ownership. Unless you want us to reveal how you've been emotionally unstable since James's death." My hand trembled slightly as I reached for the pen. Since James's fatal car accident 5 years ago, they'd systematically pushed me out, first from my position as head of research and development, then from the board, using their combined shares to outvote me at every turn. I fought back at first, but they'd made my life hell, spreading rumors about my mental health, suggesting I'd married James for money, even implying I'd had something to do with his accident. Now they were threatening to use my grief counseling sessions against me if I didn't sell. 30 seconds, Sarah, Victoria warned. "Sign, or we'll make sure everyone knows how unstable you really are." Just then, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Don't sign anything. Trust me. L. I need to use the bathroom," I said suddenly, standing up. "Sit down," Victoria snapped. "Sign first." "It's either the bathroom now, or I throw up on your buyout agreement," I replied calmly. "Your choice." Rebecca wrinkled her nose in disgust. "Let her go, she's just stalling." In the elegant bathroom, I splashed cold water on my face, trying to think. The text message had to be a mistake. No one was coming to help me. I was alone, just as I'd been since James died. I touched the small gold locket around my neck, James' last gift to me. Inside was a tiny key, though I'd never figured out what it opened. "For the future," he'd said with that mysterious smile of his, just days before the accident. A soft knock at the door startled me. "Mrs. Chen." I opened it to find a tall, elegant woman with silver-streaked black hair. She looked vaguely familiar, though I couldn't place her. "I'm Linda Wong," she said quietly, "and I believe we need to talk before you make a huge mistake." My heart stopped. Linda Wong, CEO of Wong Enterprises, one of the largest medical technology companies in Asia. But what was she doing here? "I don't understand," I whispered. She smiled, reminding me suddenly of James. 5 years ago, my daughter Maria was diagnosed with a rare heart condition. The doctors said she wouldn't survive. Then they tried a new device, one you and James developed. She's now in medical school herself. I remembered. It was one of our first successful cases, though I'd never known the patient's identity. "What you don't know," Linda continued, "is that James reached out to me before his death. He was worried about his family's intentions. He left something in my safekeeping, something meant for you when the time was right." From her briefcase, she withdrew a folder. "I've spent 5 years watching them try to destroy you, waiting for the right moment. They're making their move today, aren't they?" I nodded numbly. "Then it's time." She handed me the folder. "Everything you need is in here, including what that key around your neck opens." My fingers trembled as I opened the folder. Inside were documents, emails, and a letter in James's handwriting that made my blood run cold. "The board meeting starts in 10 minutes, Linda said softly. "Are you ready to take back what's yours?" I touched the locket, feeling the key inside. After 5 years of darkness, I finally saw light. Yes, I whispered. I'm ready. Walking back into the conference room, I felt different. Stronger. Victoria, Rebecca, and Michael looked up expectantly, the buyout agreement still waiting. Ready to sign? Victoria asked smugly. I smiled, channeling James's quiet confidence. Actually, I think it's time for the board meeting, and I have a few surprises of my own to share. What are you talking about? Michael demanded. You'll see, I said, heading for the boardroom. You'll all see. As I walked out, I heard Linda Wong on the phone. Everything's in place. Send them in. For the first time in 5 years, I felt James's presence, not in grief, but in strength. The real story was just beginning. The boardroom fell silent as I walked in, Linda Wong at my side. The usual board members were there, all carefully chosen by Victoria over the years to support her agenda. But today there were new faces too, ones that made Victoria's perfectly maintained composure slip. What is Wong Enterprises doing here? She demanded, seeing Linda's executives filing in. This is a private board meeting. Actually, Linda smiled, taking a seat. As of this morning, Wong Enterprises owns 15% of Chen Industries shares. We have every right to be here. Victoria's face paled. That's impossible. Those shares weren't for sale. They were James's personal shares, I said quietly, held in a secret trust that matured today, exactly 5 years after his death. Opening the folder Linda had given me, I began laying out documents on the polished boardroom table. But that's just the beginning. James left quite a paper trail before he died. Shall we discuss the falsified research data you submitted to the FDA, Michael? My brother-in-law's face went white. You can't prove anything. James could, and did. I pulled out more papers. Or maybe we should talk about the offshore accounts where you've been hiding company profits, Rebecca. The ones you've been using to fund your secret gambling addiction. Rebecca's Cartier bracelet clattered against the table as her hand began to shake. You're making wild accusations, Victoria cut in sharply. No one will believe. They'll believe this, Linda interrupted, nodding to her assistant who started a video on the boardroom screen. There was James, looking healthy and vibrant, recorded just weeks before his death. If you're watching this, he began, then everything I feared has happened. My family has tried to force Sarah out just as they tried to force me to divorce her years ago. I gasped. This was news to me. What you don't know of Sarah, James continued, is that they threatened to destroy our medical research if I didn't leave you. They never forgave me for choosing love over their twisted version of family loyalty. So I started gathering evidence, preparing for the worst. The video continued, showing detailed documentation of years of corruption, fraud, and manipulation. James had recorded conversations, kept emails, tracked money transfers, building an ironclad case against his own family. The key in your locket, he said finally, opens a safe deposit box at First National Bank. Everything is there, all the original documents, plus my personal shares in the company, transferred to a trust that would mature in 5 years. I knew they'd try to break you immediately after my death. But I also knew you were strong enough to survive until this day came. Tears rolled down my cheeks as his image smiled sadly. I'm so sorry for leaving you to face them alone, my love. But you were never truly alone. Linda has been watching over you, waiting for the right moment. And now it's time for the truth to come out. The screen went dark. In the silence that followed, I stood up, pulling out one final document. This is a detailed report of every illegal action taken by Victoria, Michael, and Rebecca Chen over the past decade. If you don't immediately resign from all positions and transfer your shares back to the company at market value, this goes to the SEC, FBI, and every major news outlet tomorrow morning. You wouldn't dare, Victoria whispered. You'll destroy the company's reputation. No, Linda interrupted. Wong Enterprises is prepared to buy all surrendered shares, ensuring stability. The only reputations being destroyed will be yours. You planned this all along, Rebecca accused. You and James. No, I said firmly. James planned this to protect what we built together. To protect our legacy of helping people, not just making money. He knew what you were, even if I didn't want to see it. Over the next hour, papers were signed. Resignations tendered. By sunset, Victoria, Michael, and Rebecca Chen had been escorted from the building, their corporate access revoked. What happens now? One of the board members asked nervously. I smiled, feeling truly peaceful for the first time in 5 years. Now we get back to what this company was meant to be. In the months that followed, Chen Industries transformed. We refocused on research and development, launched new medical devices, and established a foundation to help patients who couldn't afford treatment. Linda Wang became a mentor and friend, helping me navigate the challenges of leadership. The day we announced our new breakthrough, a revolutionary treatment that would save thousands of lives, I visited James's grave. "We did it," I whispered, touching the headstone. "Everything we dreamed about." A soft voice behind me said, "He would be so proud." I turned to see Maria Wang, Linda's daughter, now a bright-eyed medical student. "I start my residency next month," she said shyly. "I want to help people like your device helped me." Looking at her, I saw the future James and I had envisioned. One where business served humanity, not greed. Where innovation meant saving lives, not just making money. "Would you like to intern in our R&D department?" I asked impulsively. We could always use fresh perspectives. Her face lit up. "Really? I'd love to." That evening, sitting in what had once been James' office, our office, I opened the locket and looked at the tiny key that had changed everything. It had unlocked more than just a safe deposit box. It had unlocked the truth, justice, and a future filled with purpose. Victoria and her children had disappeared to Europe, their reputation in tatters. But I felt no triumph in their downfall. Instead, I felt gratitude for James's foresight, for Linda's patience, for the chance to make a difference. On my desk sat a framed photo of James and me in our first tiny lab, young and full of dreams. Next to it stood a new photo, me with our R&D team, including Maria, all wearing lab coats and bright smiles. The intercom buzzed. "Mrs. Chen, the new patient trial results are in." I touched the locket one last time, then stood up, ready to face whatever came next. James had given me more than just evidence against his family. He'd given me the strength to carry on our dream. And that was the greatest revenge of all.